What's up, guys? It's your boy Complicated Art Man here, aka Alfresco. So about to get into some resining. I've got this triptych shell thing that I'm doing here that you'll see in a second. I'm gonna resin it, give it a nice little tabletop resin. I've got my resin all mixed up already. I've got my torch on standby, my ALCL91. I got my cups, my spatulas. I got a little, as always, when you're gonna resin, you should probably have a little bit of like a side project or something, because you're gonna have some resin left over. So I got my little baby project I've been working on here. This little shell thing I did here on, it's already got some resin in it. I'm gonna actually throw another layer of resin on it, give it a little bit more depth, you know what I'm saying? And I got a couple projects on standby. I'm just gonna, with these, I'm just gonna give them a light rub of resin just to give them some luster and really make them pop. So I got this one, which is the Orlando Wetlands painting I did back in, I think it was 2016. And then I got my Tres Palmas y Tormenta, 3 Palms in a Storm, which is from Hollywood Beach, Florida. And I did this one, I think back in 2016 as well. But bam! So with these, I'm just gonna give them a light light little rub, make them pop, and let's see what happens. All right, so this is always the fun part here. Initial resin drop. So the initial idea here is going to be to give it two coats of resin. So I just want to get a nice even layer here going on the first one. And this is just a scrap piece of wood I had laying around. It was actually perfect size for this project. So I primed it. Primed it with a coat of primer, and just so it won't warp. Then I just threw on this little funky design here on top. And it's a triptych, so I'm gonna have 1, 2, and 3 going right there. Yeah, that's much better. This little yellow dog here is working a lot better. And it's about 20 by 20, so it's almost 2 square feet. 20 by 23, I think. It's almost 2 square feet. And so I did about 10 ounces of resin. Something that's like 3 to 4 ounces per square foot is about right. I probably should have made 16 because of the projects I want to do, the other side projects. But it's all good because I'm going to get this nice and covered. The nice first coat. I'm going to drop the triptychs in there. I know you can't see much of the resin working, but it's being moved around. I'm just moving it around here. Got some bubbles, no big deal. I'm gonna get my trusty torch out, take care of them. Just want to make sure right now my main focus is that I don't have any dead spots. Even though it's not going to really matter because I am going to go ahead and give it another coat. Just recycling a little resin here for the sides. I take a little bit off the corners, do that. cheated a little bit. So the resin is self-leveling, so it doesn't matter that I'm dipping into it right now because it's going to self-level out. But I'm going to go ahead and move it around a little bit more with the spatch. Right, so that takes care of that. We'll get down here and check out, see what we got going on. Looking pretty good. Looks like I've got some really good coverage here. Just gonna hit the edges, sides a little bit again. Just taking it right off of the spatch. Alright, here's your little trick of the trade tip for the day. Gloves, baby. Multiple gloves. You're gonna need them. And if you're wacky like me, you're even gonna go with 2 different colors. Haha! 91. See if the bubbles come out. Probably saw that. Hit it with a torch as well. My first time using the ALC HL91. So it kind of gave it a ripply, dimply effect, kind of like a golf ball. It's pretty interesting. Not sure how I feel about that 100%. I'm going to try to blow them out. Again, it doesn't matter, it's self-leveling, so it'll probably fix itself. And if not, I could probably just do this. So I think what happened there is that because my initial layer of resin isn't super thick, that the solvent went through the resin down to the base of the wood, causing the dimples. It's all good though. Let me see if I can squeeze out a little more resin out of here. Yeah, I got some. I'm just gonna drop it in there. So yeah, mental note to you guys and myself, always make a lot more extra resin. There's my jam right there. Alright, so I'm just going to give this a couple of whisper touches with the spatch. So I'm getting into a little bit of chop here. I'm doing some chopping. I got my just a little flat spray paint. I'm just kind of smoking this in. This is kind of cool. I'm going to give this a whole nother layer. And I've got my paint stick here, and I'm just going to kind of do this. I'm going to do some chopping here. Just going to chop it up. I'm about 25 minutes into my resin, my first resin dip here. And with resin, you've got about 50 minutes of work time, depending on what you're doing. You can always go back and rework it a little bit, but resin can be pretty feisty, so it's a lot of fun though. I love working with resin. I used to be pretty scared of working with it, very apprehensive. But the more I work with it, the more fun it gets. So this is kind of a cool effect, kind of giving it some vein work here. And another layer of depth to my initial work. Alright, so Feel pretty good about this chop. I don't want to get too crazy with this. And I think that's pretty good for the special effect. Kind of wish I had another color, some red to go with it. I think about kind of cool, make it pop a little bit, but I don't, so that's what that is. And this chopping effect is really good because, again, the resin is self-leveling, so it's going to level back out on its own. And then it gives it, the other thing about the chop, it gives it that little bit of smoke that I threw in there with my flat spray paint. It's giving it a nice effect, another layer, depth, and that's what you want. You want to always be creating the illusion of depth. Here's one of the triptychs. That's what it looks like. So you can just check that out. And these are Florida seashells. These came from, I think, the Gulf Coast, Sanibel Island, somewhere, Captiva, right around there somewhere. So anyhow, that's that. So it's basically going to be 1, 2, 3 on that. I see something in here. I'm not sure what it is. I'm going to chop it up. Yeah, so no big deal. We had a foreign object fall in there, and not a big deal. Just gonna chop around that, and boom, crisis averted. I'll tell you what, back in the day, stuff like this would have freaked me the hell out. It'd be like probably wanting to throw a project across the room because I didn't know how to deal with it, but I learned that it's not a big deal. You can fix so many things when you're working with your art. And this is just now nothing but a little see ya. Alright guys, I'm back. It's day 2 of the resining the backboard project to my triptych. Haven't looked at it yet, kind of curious, so let's go in there and see what we got. Alright, there's my triptychs there. You just move them over to the side. And the tray ready. Oh, here comes the big reveal. Let's see what we got going on there. Little sneak peek, see what it looks like. You can see the reflections there from the tabletop. 1, a 2, and a 3. Ba-bam. Alright, so far looks pretty good. Again, it's hard to tell from just looking at the camera. Now you can see some of the reflections, so as I pan here, you can see the reflections from the tabletop. Let me get down a little lower. Yeah, we definitely need to add another coat to it. It doesn't look bad. I mean, it's just a thin coat. Alright y'all, I got my resin mixed up. It's looking pretty good. Always remember, you have to be super precise with your resin measurements. They have to be 1 to 1. If not, you're going to end up with a project that never cures. You're going to be going to touch it to test it. It's going to be sticky, and you're going to have to, the project's not going to be ruined. You're just going to have to resin all over on top of it. That's actually kind of what happened to me with this one. I went to give it one last coat of the clear. It's hard to see, I know, on there, but I gave it a last coat of clear resin. I missed the measurements. They weren't as precise as they needed to be, and even 2 days, 3 days later, I was touching the project. It was sticky. It was leaving residue on counters, and I was trying to take pictures, and I realized it wasn't going to cure. I went back. I just rubbed light coat of resin on it, dried up, took care of that. Bada bing, bada boom, all done. So yeah, just be really precise with the measurements on your resin 1-to-1 ratio. These cups are awesome for that. And also gloves. Gloves are your best friends. I know they're kind of a challenge to work with sometimes, but they're going to save your hands, and you know, you won't get any chemical burns or anything from resin. I even use them a lot when I'm just doing regular old paints. All right, so we're going to drop some resin on this. I'm going to give it one last coat of some smoke with my spray paint, just a light whisper touches of it, and then I'm going to drop the Triptychs in, cover it, and then we'll see how it turns out tomorrow. Alright, so here we go. It's always a little nerve-wracking dropping the first coat on there. Alright, so I had about 16 ounces. I'm left with just a little over 4, which is alright. I got plenty to work with. Got my side projects going. Let's get this moving around. Make sure there's no dry spots. Push it over to the edge. I don't want to waste too much resin, but I'm gonna have to on this one because we want to get a nice juicy fat coat on here. There we go. Get those corners covered up. Spreading it out from the center to the corners and beyond. Resin's weird. Sometimes it just doesn't want to take in certain spots. My surface is very, very flat. Everything's super level, looking pretty good. One thing you want to remember when you're hitting the resin with a torch is you always want to be moving around. Don't stay in one spot. You'll burn the resin. It'll get all yellowy and crispy and gnarly on you. It's like silk right now. It looks pretty good. And all I'm using is this little Rust-Oleum flat protective enamel. I'm just lightly spraying it on, popping whispers, just to give it a little more depth. And that's pretty good right there. And I'm just going to use one of my little cheapy brushes here. And I'm just going to give this all like a light little chop all the way around. That's it. I'm just keeping it kind of simple with this. It's pretty cool. It's creating some nice veiny effects. Again, it's adding another layer to your painting. Nice. Nice. Alright guys, I think I'm ready to drop the Triptychs in. It's now or never. Saw that? See that? My little cheat? That's how I know which one's which. I got a special mark right there. Alright, so looks like I'm going to be using all of this, all the resins. And as I'm doing this, I'm actually doing a little experiment between the stick for the chopping and this cheapo brush, the cheapo, El Cheapo. Alright, that's kind of cool. Looks pretty good. Got ourselves a little foreign object here. No worries. He gone. This is what I'm talking about right here. Oh, bam. That's the trick. Boom, done. New gloves, gloved up. All right, here we go. Alright guys, I got my project all covered up. It's looking really good. The Triptychs are sitting in there really nice. I got them weighed down, so they're going to be solidified with the resin. It's going to give it a nice little like ridge around each each piece of the triptych. It's gonna look really good. I'm super excited about this. In the meantime, make sure you go check out my website, complicatedartman.com. I've got a cool blog out there with updates on my artwork. Follow me on Instagram, alfresh22. I'm gonna come back tomorrow. We should have a finished project by then, and it should come out looking pretty tight. Pretty excited about it. Nice little mixed media piece. So in the meantime, enjoy some of my artwork. Here's some of my cool latest pieces. Word. What's up, guys? It's your boy Complicated Art Man here. So I just took a sneak peek behind the curtains of the triptychs, and I don't want to jinx it, but man, they look fantastic. The resin looks great. It's almost too good to be true, so I'm kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop, but let's take a quick peek. All right, here we go. Let's see what we got here. All right, here we are. So we're in it right now. We're underneath, behind the curtain, settling in quite nicely. Like I said, it's almost too good to be true. I don't think I've ever had a resin project go as smooth as this. Look at those reflections. Pan out a little bit there. So there it is. We'll come back tomorrow and see what the finished project looks like. From underneath and behind the curtains, your boy Complicated Art Man. Deuces. What's up, y'all? Welcome back. It's day 3, final day of the Triptych backboard resin project. As you can see, I think it came out pretty good. Very happy with the results. I don't have any bubbles in the resin, the second layer resin. I did put 2 coats. I think it looks really good. I'm pretty happy with it, satisfied with it. I'm gonna hang it up, take some photos of it, and post it to my Instagram, alfresh22 social media account. Also, there'll be a blog about it on complicatedartman.com. So, surrounded right now by some of my artwork. This is Serenity number 5, the last in the Serenity series. This is actually going to Jacksonville. That's why it's all wrapped up, ready to go. Of course, I got my Kanto 7 piece here, which was my philanthropy piece for the Cocoa Beach Surfside Playhouse Theater in Cocoa Beach, Florida. You know, what always amazes me is the amount of tools that you use for a project. It's amazing, you know. I wouldn't use anything from, of course, resin, sticks, painter's sticks, popsicle sticks, painter's pyramids to elevate, to raise the paintings while, you know, they're drying and the resin's dripping, you know, glitter. So it seems like sometimes you're just reaching for something and all of a sudden it becomes a tool. So it's pretty interesting, and I'm always intrigued by that. I want to know what kind of tools you guys use for your projects, and if you have any questions about resin or even just painting and in general using acrylics. I don't paint in oil, so I can't help you there, but you know, painting in acrylics, resin, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments and I'll try to answer them for you. Alright, this is the last fresco tips in this video. Always remember, when you're resining, make extra resin. You don't want to run out in the middle of your project and then have to you know, stir some up real quick, possibly leaving room to make a mistake in the resin ratio. Also be super precise with resin, and then also gloves. These are the Amex, A-double-M-E-X, pretty cool gloves. I like them. Complicated Art Man, making art uncomplicated, one piece at a time. Out.